I will maybe start with short introduction of our panelists and their communities, because to get into the context, how the communities evaluated in the recent crisis, like it was COVID, like it was war on Ukraine and so on, I believe we should have a foundation. So, Adriana, I know that majority of the people most likely knew people in need, but how does it work? What would you like to highlight from the backside of this community? And what would you like to say a little bit about your role there?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me here. I would start with a short introduction of People in Need, Člověk v tísni. You probably know that we are the biggest NGO in Eastern Europe. We work in over 30 countries around the world. We have like 3,000 employees right now. So it's quite a big thing between the NGOs and between the charities. And it's my pleasure to work for People in Need for 12 years already. So since my 20, I guess. I moved within the People in Need. I started with the social integration programs, then moved to humanitarian aid. I used to work as a field coordinator with the floods in Czech Republic. And last 6 years, I'm responsible for communication of People in Need, especially here in Czech Republic. I am a lead of team of social media managers responsible for crisis communication and for direct communication with the public.
Awesome, thank you very much. Filip, what's the story behind GOOC and your part there?
I will maybe switch past the microphone back to Dan. No. So my story is, or what we do at the GOOC, we are a community of volunteers, 300 volunteers all around the country. And for the past 14 years, we help people understand tech. So we educate people in tech and new technology. And our passion is education, learning new things, new skills, sharing and new technology. And my story is, I started at the community in 2014 as a member. And 2 years later, after so many activities, actually, fun fact, my first event that I organized was Google I.O. in Ostrava. It's like I ordered pizza, some Coca-Cola, and we started streaming, and that was it. So it was enough. But after 1 year, we moved the biggest event, which was DevFest. So we moved this event to Ostrava, which was a daring move, but it paid off. So imagine in 2015, 500 people, developers in Ostrava. That was huge. And so 2 years from the first event, I was able to stand in California at Google I.O. in person. So that was amazing. And since then I call it, sorry about the word, the active, I'll switch to Czech, so it's aktivní blbec in Czech. So since I was the most active one, it was easy to throw the whole thing on me. And I was crazy enough to say yes. Yes, we can.
All right. Evi, what's the story behind Česko Digital?
So, hello everyone. I'm representing Česko Digital. We are the community of expert volunteers. We have more than 5,400 actually. I'm the co-founder, and the story behind was our founder Jakub Nešetřil sold the startup Apiary. And he said that he would like to also make the impact with the NGO. And he said that on one hand, there are many talented people in companies that they would like to give their expertise to something nice, something with an impact. And on the other hand, there are many NGOs as well as the government who need help with the innovation and with the digitalization. So this is our story. We are now 3 years. We will be having the birthday party on this Sunday. You are all welcome. We will be in Kasárna Karlín. Also, the kids are welcome. And the story, my personal story is that before the Česko Digital, I was the project manager in IT as well, in a business, in telco company, all that stuff. And when I was 38, I said that I need some completely change for my life because I wanted to have the work-life balance because I have 2 kids and I wanted to have something what is really purpose for me and what is a meaning that if I stand in front of my kids, I can say them that I am doing something good for the better future. So this is the story behind. And also needs to say that I'm more like the talking head because all the credits goes to our expert volunteers.
Thank you very much for an introduction. I just wanted to remind every one of you, also for people online, we're still having Slido running, so if you have any question, feel free to ask. We will incorporate them into the discussion. Let me kick it off. What does community mean to you personally? Filip, when you maybe start, what's community?
For me, it's definitely connected with our community, with Cook. But for me, like personally, deep inside, for me, it represents a life change because it completely changed what I did before as a project manager, and it means basically sometimes we call it a new family or a second family. So for me, or like personally, it means a lot of very deep things and deep feelings. But all in all, it means all in all for me it's like passion, great people, and new skills.
Adriana, what does community means to you?
Basically everything. For us, for people in need, the trust is everything. We really need to be supported by our communities to be able to work. Just trust is everything. And our communities support us by donations, like financially, so we can do our work, we can help people, vulnerable people, we can try to make a world a better place. But not just the financial support, it's crucial, but also the support of public, because here in Czech Republic, I think we are perceived as a strong voice of civic society, and we are trying to move some topics in a society, and so we need people to trust us. And if we lose the trust of the people of our communities, we are basically done. It's just 10% of our budget coming from private donations, but it's the most important money because this money we can use as in the emergencies. We can use it as we want, as we have to. We don't need to wait for bigger donators as the United Nations or governments of other states. So these 10% are absolutely crucial, and these persons are given by, for the last public fundraiser, SOS Ukraine, 400,000 people contribute to donation, which is quite a lot. And our club of friends, Klub Přátel Člověka v tísni, we do have 26,000 people sending us money monthly. It's much more than any political party has members. So this is maybe our mandate to trying to make at least this state a better place. And yeah, I think this is the trust. This is what is trust from our communities, not just the money, but the feeling of support.
Thank you. Eva, what does community mean to you?
For me personally, it's about the people, about every single story is so amazing to hear. It's also about empathy, to learn the empathy every day, to talk to people and to try to understand their stories. We also most likely to use not only community but the ecosystem, because with Česko Digital it's not only the community of expert volunteers, but we also connected hundreds of companies and also the supporters and also the people from government that we most likely build up the group of the ecosystem, all the people that we want to change the Czech Republic within the better place. And also for me it's kind of to be authentic with the people with the same sense and with the same meaning.
All right. So let's get back to the topic of the crisis and how they can change and maybe like boost the communities. Let's maybe start with you, Evo. I know that Česko Digital grew up pretty fast during the COVID, isn't that right? How that appeared from your point of view of your community?
We have been created not only for this emergency response, but from the first day we want to help in a systematic way the NGOs as well as the government. But within the COVID, our community grew twice. So we came from 1,000 to 2,000 in 1 or 2 weeks. Also with the Ukraine, we grew up in twice. we helped with the COVID, and it was like the first attempt to see if the people want to help in the emergency response, but only with the, let's say, the physical work, but also with the digital work, because we are completely remote, the community. Needs to be said that we are not only developers, we are also marketers, we are the lawyers, and all the people which you can imagine that they create the digital products. Also, our second attempt was with the Ukraine, because we have seen that the people want to help again with the crisis. And what needs to be said, that not only the digital products, what we have created, but also there was a different behavior that people want to understand where is the need, and people want to join together. The people said that I don't want to make any double work. I don't want to be part of the community who wants to work. So this was something what was different from the COVID. And within the Ukraine, just to be said that we have created 4 projects for Stojíme za Ukrajinou, Pomáhej Ukrajině, UMAPA, and also the learning project MOVAP. And what is important to say that most projects were grown from the community. So there was nothing who said, hey, let's help and do this one, but we just support the people who want to put the hand and say, I want to help to make this information portal within the Ukraine, and they were at other hands, and we just connect them, put them together, and create a team.
Awesome, thank you very much. Filip, how did COVID affect GUK? A lot.
Again? Yeah. A lot. That was the only thing I wanted to say. No. Imagine a community that for the past 12 years we only did offline events as an online community. We only did, so every year we had approximately 150 events per year in person, and we had to switch within a day to a completely new format. But the power of community really showed what it can do. And within, when the first event that started was closed schools, and it was, I think, on Tuesday, maybe. And on Thursday, we had a call about like how we can help and who's the one person or the one target group that we can help. And we definitely say schools. And on Friday, so it was Thursday, on Friday afternoon, we already had a call with Daniel Mine from Google Czech Republic. We had a call together with Česko Digital and with other communities, other people, the best tech-oriented teachers in the country. And within, I think within a week or two, together we joined forces as a community, and we created together Učíme Online. And
I think we have created over the weekend only.
Maybe on the weekend. All I remember was the pain after, when I was almost ended up in the hospital after sitting by the computer for 16 hours a day. But the main thing for me was the energy coming from the community and the willing to help. And it actually stayed. So for us, it's changed. So our impact before COVID was around 5,000 people trained per year, and now it's around 10,000 people. So it doubled our impact. But it changed a lot what we do and how we do things, and it really showed the power of community, amazing people that we have in our community, and how they were able to, from like within minutes and hours, they were able to switch and do completely new things in new format.
I know it's not really gone, but we are trying to see the way and think about it, that COVID is gone. And did the community engagement of the people which started at the beginning dropped out after that, or is it still the same, or is it even better?
Like, you mean the engagement of people?
Yeah.
It definitely changed, and I was actually counting with that after like the initial boost of energy and the will to help, actually those people will actually need help themselves. So we actually counted with that and change our strategy on that. So we focused on our core members and helped them, and focusing for, let's say, 6 months more on the community, our internal community, not the community outside. So we gave a helping hand, but also we had to make sure that we have the hand as well.
How it's in your case, Adriana? Because as far as I remember, like recent events was breaking the records when it comes to charity donations, right? The first one was the tornado in South Moravia, and then now the Ukraine war. It's how does the community activity looks like from the point of view of people in need at the moment?
We basically go from crisis to crisis. We are kind of used to working crisis. We are a humanitarian organization, and we are 30 years old right now. But there are crises you can be prepared for a little bit, and there are crises you can't be prepared for. So with the COVID, we were not ready. It was the first pandemic even for us. And we were not prepared that our headquarters in Prague will be affected by crisis. So it was like a small panic at the beginning. We need to change the environment and the habits we work. We try to keep our programs around the world because we help millions of people around the world. So we didn't want to just stop the help to them. And from COVID, we went through tornado in South Moravia, and then Taliban came back to Afghanistan, and then the Russian invasion to Ukraine starts. We were ready for the big humanitarian action in Ukraine because, as you remember, that the whole world was watching Vladimir Putin to slowly moving his army to the borders of Ukraine, and we were pretending like nothing happens. It's just fun. But we were ready. We were ready to start the whole campaign, the humanitarian work within one click. So that basically saved us, and it brought position of #1 in Ukraine, because now the biggest humanitarian aid in Ukraine, it's done by Czech, it's done by people in need. But it was not a coincidence, we were ready.
I would stick to that. There is a nice question on Slido. How do you guys and people in need deal with all the negativeness around these days? How do you guys stay detached in order to survive and be able to help?
Within the negativeness, you mean like that the world is a bad place, or within the negativeness that some of the people are sending to us through their comments, etc.?
I'm not sure, since it's an anonymous question, I cannot address it. But in my understanding, I would say that, for example, these days the general idea, or maybe like the whole negativeness on social media, on around that we are helping the wrong people and so on. Maybe this kind of stuff. How do you guys keep detached from that?
Actually, we trying to have an overview, like a complex overview. There's 10% of people who hate almost everything, who hate that we help other people, and who hate this world. And yeah, but if you see the numbers of supporters of people in need, we are like growing up like this. Then you see the context that they're very noisy, but a small part of the society are attacking us. But you see that there behind you, there's like thousands and thousands of people who are supporting you, and you can rely on them. And that helps us. And we, in my team, in social media, in media department, we try to talk to those people. So my colleagues working in field, working with and helping the people, they don't need to deal with that, actually. They are just focusing on their work. So we are like, sorry, I don't have the word. So we are just trying and giving them space to do the proper work.
Okay, let's continue with the questions from Slido. They are very interesting. One for Filip. Filip, did your community work changed or approach changed when your kids were born?
It definitely changed. The most important thing for me was it helped me set boundaries. It's definitely like when the kindergarten closes at a certain hour, there's like that's the best deadline to end your work. And it even helped me to focus more on specific tasks and just finish one thing and then switch to the, let's say, family mode and rest my head.
Abby, do you want to follow up on that, like how to be community active with kids around? Is there anything specific besides like people who don't have kids?
I have two boys. They are 7 and 8. So I had kids also when I joined Česko Digital. I must say that only the way is to talk about that I have the kids and they are with me. And it's normal that the people join our meetings. Also, they are naked. And they jump into the meeting and they say hello. And also my colleagues and also the people from the community, they can expect that my voice will come up. So this is the only thing I think it's manageable. And also this was also the reason why we have the birthday and we also welcome the families. Because we know that the community is not only about the people in community, but also about the network within the family. So this is only the reason why we strongly put this recommendation for our the birthday party. What is sometimes somehow difficult to explain if someone don't have a kid. So you need to tell them that what is the situation, what is the different, and also for some community activities we need to also say that they will be without the families. And also some meetings are within the evenings, for example, 8. I remember our meetings were from 8 p.m. because we put our kids to the bed and then we start working, right? So this is that we only talk about the situation and we try to adapt. Because from my perspective, this is only the way how we can cope with that. And also it's, for kids it's good to see this work. And I quite often, not today, but quite often I take my kids with me to bring them to the community, to the environment, to see what is this world and what is part of my work.
All right. Thank you very much for broad answer. I have one question for you, and it is coming from the slide. Which project in Česko Digital do you find the closest to you or in line with your values, mission, pledge to your kids?
I hate this question. Because we are close to 20 projects we have delivered. I would like to say that the Česko Digital itself is the project when I believe and I hope of the expert volunteering as a way that people can put the most important thing, which is the time they put their energy and the time to another people. So this is my most important, that the Česko Digital can bring this hope. And if I should take one project in the recent time, it could be the project Move Up. What was created by Martin Hassmann. And what is interesting is that it was completely grown from the community, and no one from this employee was in this project, because this is our ideal way, that the people in the community create the project itself and deliver the project itself. So this was our the situation. This is the ideal way that the people from community work very well, so without the assistance from anyone.
Mm-hmm. All of your communities works a lot with volunteers, right? And it basically depends on them and so on. What's the number one tip you would get to managing volunteers in the projects this size? Maybe Filip, you can start.
The first thing that comes to my mind usually is like, you cannot manage a community. So it's like an organism that sometimes lives and does whatever it wants. But on the other hand, you can manage a community. And I'm very thankful to Dan and other people to learn things and share things together with our community, that we can manage actually a community and plan the community. So both ends. So sometimes, and you have to be prepared that sometimes it's the first way and you just never know what happens the next day, and sometimes you try your best to plan it.
Okay, can you maybe give some specific examples, like how to actually work with the second phase, like how to actually not let those people to slip away and just not break this community apart, not to finish the community just because nobody is actually doing anything?
One thing that helped us a lot definitely was, and we had the workshop on that, was Community Canvas as a methodology or canvas that you can use to at least to be aware of what it is in the community and what different parts and topics there are. And we actually changed the whole, as we call it, the hardcore team to align with the canvas. So we divided our roles and our tasks according to this community.
And the hardcore team you're mentioning, all of them are paid, or there are also volunteers?
Yeah, the paid team, like the core team.
Okay.
We don't like to be too serious, so we call ourselves hardcore team.
All right. Abby, how do you manage that huge number of volunteers? What's the biggest lesson learned when it comes to put all those people together to useful work and to creating the communities?
What is ultimately need is to have a vision or to have a purpose, what we are going to do. Because in company that you try to put the employees that they are similar to you, but in the community, the people come to us because they want to help someone else. So the vision and the purpose is the first point. And the second one what help us a lot is the values, what we had a value from the day one. And it really helped us to have some framework how we work together. And the third is to, with the volunteers, very, very important topic is the well-being. How to talk to people that it's completely okay not to work, only to search for the topic or only to be part of the community, and it's not expected to work something. So from this perspective, if you try to put these things, I think it's somehow manageable. So because at the end I would support Filip that it's from our perspective, from the expert volunteers, it's not possible to manage them. It's more likely to put them the framework, put them the environment, and put them the support to help them grow.
So maybe I would also mention that we also work with volunteers and people in need, but it's like a little bit different kind of activity. We work with like 500, 600 volunteers. How many volunteers you have? It's thousands, right? It's 300? It's thousands, yeah. Our volunteers, they basically go through the poor families, and they are tutoring their children. That means we want them at least once a week to go to the family of the child and to put attention. So and how to motivate those people? I agree with Eva. I would say we need to remind them the shared values we have, always, always, and always. And to me, what works the best, it's just leading by example, because if you do the work, you trust and believe in your work, and you do the right things, your community just start to follow you, basically.
I like the question, what do you see as a danger to healthy communities, a threat community builders should be aware and prepared to? Filip, do you have anything in your mind when you think about Cook, what can be dangerous and destroy the community?
Definitely, but just to pick the right thing, maybe not reminding ourselves of the importance that we have, as you mentioned, the mission and our values, and maybe thinking thinking that everyone knows enough about it, because our topic is to help people learn new tech. And it's easy when you're within the community, it's easy to believe that this is the standard in the society. It's not. So definitely to remind and never stop reminding ourselves that there is still a huge need for education. And the second one is definitely if we ever stop inviting new people and new energy and new opinions, so definitely keeping the diversity, that's the key.
Mm-hmm. Do you see some other dangers of healthy communities?
I would say trust in the community and to see the results. Because if we are the expert volunteers and we work instead of to go to work, instead of to make the hobbies, we work over the weekend. We want to see that our work is meaningful and we see the results. And I would say that sometimes it's hard when we, for example, do the project with government. Sometimes it's hard to be care about that our work will not be passed away, but will be used. So this is, for example, the case when we created the COVID portal we have been doing with NAKIT, our government agency. It was really hard to take care that our work will be visible and will be used by the people. So this is, from my perspective, as a risk for the communities. When you do not see the results and you tell that there will be the results, that could be one of the risks, because the people will lose the trust to you as a leader, and this could be one of the danger from my perspective.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking what I would answer to that question from my experience, and I believe a little bit echo here. I was thinking that maybe the risk for healthy communities is to actually not manage it at all, like to step out of the role of someone who's at least guiding the vision and doing the majority of the parts and the hardest decision, and maybe like adjusting the stream of the ideas, adjusting the stream of the activities which the community can do, because typically communities can be self-managed. A lot of people want to help, a lot of people will do a lot of works, but usually there happens to be the tensions between some camps, some parties, and if there is no one who is the one who can give the decision what's the right way to achieve the mission and what's not, or maybe what's not the right way at this moment, and let's be focused there, the communities tend to fall apart because they will not find a common way how to communicate together. They will not be engaged that much, and this can also happen. So that
one more thing, is Katka still here? Yeah, she's there. So if we ever stop having enough haters in our community, that's a very severe sign, because if it means just basically people stopped to care about the community. So definitely what I bring from today's lightning talk is we need to have enough haters in our community, because hate is a passion, strong passion, so it means people still care about what we do.
Even in the negative way, right? I'm thinking, how do communities change in the time of crisis? How do they evolve? Was there some switch up in the people's perception after these 2 years of like more harder times in people in need, community around? Was there some change, or are those, let's say, motivations behind still the same?
Yeah, I think within the COVID, the people get used to be active. That almost everyone was helping someone else with the sewing of the mask, or sending donations, or helping with the online tutoring, etc. And so the volunteering and the perception of helping changed with the COVID, I think. But then the dynamics of every crisis is similar. At the beginning, within a few days, sometimes weeks, the people are completely freaked out. They want to help. But after a few weeks, they basically forgot, and then another crisis is coming, which is completely normal, and it's cyclically normal, because the people, we are not able to move under such a big pressure of stress. This is how we deal with that. We are trying to get involved to help as much as possible in the first 2 weeks. And then we just basically need to rest. And then it's a time for the NGOs and charities and organizations, as we are, as professional organizations, because we continue with helping. We just can't stop helping after few weeks when the people stop caring about those crises. We always work in the long-term way. For example, within the tornado in Moravia, we are now finishing our helping programs directly to people affected with tornado. After 1 year, now we are sure that all the people there, even the most vulnerable, like seniors and single mothers, are fine, are okay, and we can leave, basically. And who cares about the tornado? Do you even remember the names of the villages affected? I don't think so. Yeah, so that's what we do. We stay with the people as long as possible.
Can we maybe say that the crisis is actually golden time of communities because people usually don't want to be alone when these occasions happen? Could this actually be beneficial times for communities? Because typically when you in front of some unpleasant experience or some danger, you typically don't want to be alone. You want to be in a group. From your experience, do you think this is true?
Yes, if you remember COVID, at the beginning, our society completely changed. We were helping each other, but then the potential of the communities were not used in a proper or correct way. And then after a few months, the disillusion comes. And if you remember, by the end of COVID, hopefully it was the end, the people were freaking out. They basically hate each other. They hate the government. They hate everything. They just want the COVID be stopped. So yes, the crisis, it's like golden times for setting up communities, but the communities needs to be managed, needs to be cared. Otherwise, the emotions and the dynamics can easily change into negativeness.
If I can add, the most important thing from my perspective is the responsibility for this one. Because if you bring new volunteers in this time, you're responsible for the well-being time. And from our perspective, it's quite hard to be very responsible for this. And the goal of the time is if this expert volunteering, for example, in our case, is for some limited time period. But if there will be expert volunteers within the months, and they will still manage some stuff what should be managed, for example, by the government, there could be this disillusion, so what Adriana said. So from my perspective, I'm not sure if it's the golden time, because it's coming with the volunteers, with the new hope, with the new energy, but with the new responsibility within the people.
Yeah, I would agree with both of what you said. So for me, it's about making, actually what you said about taking care of the new members, because for us also it brought a lot of new people. So it's a pressure on the community itself. And yeah, the second point of view would be about the long-term vision. So there will be a new crisis in the following days or weeks or months. So it's still about remembering the long-term life at the community.
This brings me perfectly to the question which we have here in Slido. How do you improve resilience in your communities? Like, how do you prepare your communities that there will be more crises, there will be another opportunities, another bad situations in our life, let's say?
If I can start, the first needed step is to talk about it, that it's perfectly okay not to help in this time, and it's perfectly okay to care about yourself first, and if you are fulfilled, then you can help to others. I remember also from our core team, which is also paid, we have few members, they said that I'm very tired because of the COVID, and I don't want to be part of the project with Česko Digital that they are affected with the Ukraine crisis. So we talk about this one, and we tell them that it's perfectly okay to join some long-term projects. And also from this perspective, we try to be focused when the crisis came, to be focused on the projects which will be used by the long term. So for example, the language application MoveUp, we knew that it will be used for the long term, and it will be used not only for within the crisis, but from the long perspective. And it helps us to be more focused for the long-term perspective project rather than the humanitarian help within this digital tools. And for example, for Stojíme za Ukrajinu, we said that we brought it in days, but we talked to ourselves, it's okay if we will close the project, for example, within 1 month, 2 months, because the mission is accomplished. And this is also need to be said that there is a start, is the end of the project.
Especially when you have volunteers in social work, then there is no end and there won't be any end. So.
And I agree with what you said. And we had keep repeating this sentence. It's okay not to be okay. And the second one actually that helped us with specifically resilience is community itself, because we have amazing Ivana here, sitting here, and she actually has this topic of resilience, so how to bend yourself and not to break yourself. And so within a few days, she was like, I'm here, I'm willing to help the community. And so we had a webinar within a few days. I'm not sure which crisis it was, but in the end, it's not important. It's about that community is actually able to help itself from inside.
Last question from the slide. Do you have any tips for any tools helping communities in time of crisis? Any tools? Not sure if there is anything specific, right? Besides the classic ones like communication platform and this kind of stuff. All right, let's close this question. It was the most difficult question till the end. So can we close this panel with the thought that it's better to have the community before the crisis emerged, because you have more people which can help you go through the crisis? Or is this how to basically what's the biggest strength of the community during the time of the crisis? What's the best value? What's the best approach? And I can see you are thinking, so I will give you a few more seconds before we'll start. Yeah. I can rephrase it. Like, what's the biggest benefit of having community during the time of the crisis? What's the number one reason to not be alone in
If I may, for me, as I present community as a network or as a web, and you can climb on that web as a spider does, but you can climb not only up but also down. So whenever you fall down, there's the network as a support net for you. So that's my point of view of community and how it can support you in tough times.
I think we can close it with that. Thank you very much for your time and for your answers.